Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In recent years, the modern battlefield has been changing in ways that are often invisible to the public eye, not because they are fictional or secret in a dramatic sense, but because they involve incremental technologies quietly reshaping how soldiers survive, decide, and fight. One of these developments is an advanced combat helmet system developed and fielded by Israel, designed not to make soldiers invincible, but to significantly improve awareness, reaction time, and survivability in extremely complex combat environments. To understand why a helmet has become such a critical focus, we need to step back and look at how warfare itself has evolved. Traditional wars were once fought across clearly defined front lines, with identifiable enemy positions and predictable directions of attack. Today, especially in conflicts involving urban environments, asymmetric warfare, and hybrid threats, the battlefield is fragmented. Danger can come from rooftops, underground tunnels, narrow alleys, or from beyond visual range. For an infantry soldier, survival increasingly depends not just on physical armor, but on information. Who sees first, understands first, and reacts first. Israel's security environment has played a major role in driving this shift. The country has faced decades of conflict across multiple domains, from conventional wars with neighboring states to prolonged low-intensity conflicts involving non-state armed groups. These conditions have forced continuous adaptation within the Israeli defense establishment, particularly within the Israel Defense Forces. The focus has steadily moved toward protecting individual soldiers while enhancing their ability to operate effectively in dense, chaotic environments. The helmet system often discussed in this context is not a single piece of metal or composite armor, but an integrated platform. Developed primarily by Elbit Systems, the system combines ballistic protection with advanced optics sensors and data integration. Its purpose is not to stop every possible threat, no equipment can do that, but to reduce the likelihood of surprise and to shorten the time between detection and response. At the core of this concept is situational awareness. On a modern battlefield, information overload can be as dangerous as lack of information. Soldiers must distinguish between civilians and combatants, identify friendly units, and detect threats, all while under stress and often with limited visibility. The helmet addresses this by linking the soldier into a broader digital network, allowing real-time data to be displayed directly in the user's field of vision. One of the most widely reported components of this system is known as iron vision. Rather than acting as a traditional visor, it functions as a see-through digital display. Cameras mounted on vehicles, drones, or fixed positions feed live video to the helmet. This allows a soldier, for example, to see what is happening on the other side of an armored vehicle without physically exposing themselves. In urban combat, this can mean the difference between cautiously assessing a situation and stepping blindly into an ambush. The technology behind this capability is not new in isolation. Augmented reality systems have existed in aviation for decades, particularly in fighter jets. What is new is the adaptation of similar principles to the infantry level, where equipment must be lightweight, durable, and reliable under harsh conditions. Dust, heat, rain, and electromagnetic interference are everyday realities for ground forces, and any system that fails under these conditions becomes a liability rather than an asset. Israeli military planners have been particularly cautious in how such systems are introduced. Unlike speculative technologies often discussed in defense exhibitions, these helmets have been tested gradually, with feedback from soldiers playing a central role. According to publicly available statements, the emphasis has been on usability rather than technological novelty. If a system distracts a soldier, slows decision-making, or requires constant adjustment, it is likely to be rejected, regardless of how advanced it appears on paper. This pragmatic approach reflects a broader philosophy within Israel's defense industry. Facing frequent security challenges and limited strategic depth, Israel has historically prioritized practical solutions over theoretical perfection. Equipment is expected to perform immediately and consistently, often with minimal logistical support. In this sense, the helmet is less a symbol of futuristic warfare and more an extension of long-standing operational doctrine. It is also important to clarify what the helmet does not do. Despite some exaggerated claims circulating online, It does not make soldiers invisible, immune to bullets, or capable of superhuman perception. Ballistic protection remains subject to physical limits, and sensors can be obscured, damaged, or overwhelmed. The real advantage lies in marginal gains. Seeing a threat seconds earlier, coordinating movement more precisely, or avoiding unnecessary exposure. These marginal gains matter. In modern conflicts, particularly in urban settings, engagements are often decided within seconds. A brief delay in identifying the source of fire or distinguishing a hostile position from a civilian structure can result in casualties or unintended escalation. By reducing uncertainty, the helmet aims to support more controlled, deliberate action. The broader geopolitical context also shapes how this technology is perceived. Israel's military innovations are closely watched by allies and adversaries alike. Countries facing similar urban warfare challenges have expressed interest in comparable systems, while critics raise concerns about escalation and the widening technological gap between state and non-state actors. From Israel's perspective, however, the primary justification remains defensive, reducing risk to soldiers operating under constant threat. Another key aspect of the helmet system is integration. It does not operate in isolation, but is designed to connect with other platforms, including command and control, networks, unmanned systems, and armored vehicles. This reflects a shift toward network-centric warfare, where the effectiveness of individual units depends on their ability to share information seamlessly. For a soldier on the ground, this can mean receiving updates about friendly positions, known threats, or changes in mission parameters without relying solely on radio communication. Radio, while still essential, has limitations. It can be intercepted, misunderstood, or delayed. Visual data, presented clearly and intuitively, can complement verbal instructions and reduce cognitive load. The helmet's display is designed to prioritize essential information, filtering out irrelevant data to avoid overwhelming the user. This balance between information richness and simplicity is one of the most challenging aspects of system design. Training is another critical factor. Introducing advanced equipment does not automatically translate into improved performance. Soldiers must be trained not only to use the technology, but to trust it appropriately, neither ignoring IT nor relying on it blindly. The Israeli military has reportedly incorporated helmet-based systems into training exercises gradually, allowing units to adapt their tactics and procedures over time. This gradual integration highlights an often overlooked reality: technology changes behavior. When soldiers can see through obstacles digitally or receive constant positional updates, they may move differently, coordinate differently, and assess risk differently. Military planners must account for these behavioral shifts to ensure that technology enhances, rather than undermines, operational effectiveness. Ethical and legal considerations also come into play. Enhanced situational awareness can, in theory, reduce civilian harm by improving target identification and decision-making. However, critics argue that increased reliance on technology may create a false sense of certainty, potentially leading to overconfidence. These debates are not unique to Israel and reflect global discussions about the role of advanced systems in armed conflict. From a technological standpoint, the helmet represents a convergence of several mature technologies, rather than a single breakthrough. High-resolution cameras, secure data links, compact processors, and advanced displays have all existed for years. The challenge lies in integrating them into a wearable system that functions reliably in combat. Weight distribution, battery life, and heat management are practical concerns that directly affect usability. Battery life in particular is a significant limitation. Advanced displays and sensors consume power, and in extended operations, resupply may not be immediate. Designers must balance performance with efficiency, ensuring that the system remains operational for the duration of a mission. This constraint reinforces the idea that the helmet is an aid, not a replacement for traditional skill and awareness. International reactions to Israel's helmet technology have been mixed. Some military analysts view it as a natural evolution of infantry equipment, comparable to the adoption of night vision devices decades ago. Others see it as part of a broader trend toward increasingly digitized warfare, raising questions about accessibility and proliferation. As with many defense technologies, what begins as a niche capability can eventually become widespread. The commercial aspect is also worth noting. Companies like Elbit Systems operate at the intersection of national security and global defense markets. While systems developed for Israel's military may be customized for export, their deployment is subject to government approval and international regulations. This adds another layer of complexity to how such technologies spread and how they are perceived globally. From the soldier's perspective, the helmet is both a tool and a burden. Additional equipment can increase fatigue, especially during long patrols or in extreme climates. Designers have attempted to minimize this by using lightweight materials and ergonomic designs, but there are limits to how much functionality can be added without trade-offs. Feedback from users has reportedly played a key role in refining the system. It is also important to recognize that technology does not operate in a vacuum. The effectiveness of any system depends on doctrine, leadership, and context. A helmet that enhances awareness is most valuable when paired with clear rules of engagement, discipline, command structures, and realistic training. Without these, even the most advanced equipment can fail to deliver meaningful advantages. Looking ahead, further iterations of the helmet are likely. Advances in battery technology, sensor miniaturization, and data processing could improve performance while reducing weight. However, Israeli defense officials have generally avoided framing these developments in revolutionary terms. The emphasis remains on incremental improvement, driven by operational experience rather than speculative concepts. This cautious framing contrasts with some public narratives that portray such systems as game-changing or transformative. In reality, warfare rarely changes overnight. Instead, it evolves through a series of small adaptations, each responding to specific challenges. The helmet is one such adaptation, shaped by Israel's unique security environment and long history of military innovation. There is also a human dimension that often gets lost in technical discussions. For soldiers, knowing that they have better awareness and protection can affect morale and confidence. This psychological factor should not be underestimated. Feeling less vulnerable, even marginally, can influence how individuals perform under stress. At the same time, overconfidence can be dangerous, reinforcing the need for balanced training and leadership. In broader strategic terms, technologies like this reflect a shift toward protecting human capital. Modern militaries increasingly recognize that well-trained soldiers are among their most valuable assets. Reducing casualties is not only a moral imperative, but also a strategic one, preserving experience and cohesion within units. Equipment that contributes to this goal, even indirectly, is likely to remain a priority. Critics of Israel's military policies often view such technologies through a political lens, focusing on how they might be used in contested territories or against irregular forces. Supporters emphasize their defensive value and potential to reduce harm. These debates are part of a larger conversation about the ethics of military technology, one that extends far beyond any single system or country. What can be said with confidence is that the helmet does not exist in isolation. It is part of a broader ecosystem that includes intelligence gathering, command and control systems, and evolving tactics. Its value lies not in making soldiers untouchable, but in narrowing the gap between perception and reality on the battlefield. As conflicts continue to evolve, so too will the tools used by those involved. Israel's helmet system offers a case study in how modern militaries attempt to balance protection, awareness, and practicality. It is neither a miracle solution nor a symbol of unchecked militarization, but a response to specific operational needs shaped by geography, history, and ongoing security challenges. For viewers trying to understand the significance of such developments, it is important to move beyond sensational headlines. The real story is one of gradual adaptation, informed by experience and constrained by physical and ethical limits. Technology can enhance human capability, but it cannot replace judgment, discipline, or responsibility. In the end, the helmet represents a quiet evolution rather than a dramatic leap. It reflects how modern warfare increasingly values information, integration, and survivability at the individual level. Whether similar systems become standard elsewhere will depend on how future conflicts unfold and how militaries around the world assess the balance between cost, complexity, and benefit. If you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more war updates and global analysis.